In the year 2094, humanity stood on the edge of ecological utopia. The skies were clear, oceans teemed with life, and entire cities ran on clean energy. It seemed like the greatest victory in human history, a species that had reversed its path toward destruction and saved the planet. But then came the leak. It started as a whisper in the hidden corners of the old internet. Fragments of declassified reports, leaked emails, and a dying confession from a former World Energy advisor. At first, no one believed it. It had to be another conspiracy. But the more people looked, the more they saw. Global warming had been a lie, not a misunderstanding, not an exaggeration, an intentional fabrication. The genesis of the green lieback in the early 21st century, the world was in chaos, economic collapses, wars over oil, and rising inequality. Scientific communities were fragmented, underfunded, and ignored. So, when a small coalition of climatologists, economists, and political strategists met in secret, their question was not how to save the planet, but how to save civilization. They called themselves the Horizon Group. Their plan was audacious: create an enemy so massive, so terrifying, that it would force the world to unite, invest in science, and abandon destructive economic models. That enemy would be climate change. They fabricated data trends, exaggerated projections, and used real natural disasters as evidence. They infiltrated institutions, influenced school curricula, and harnessed social media to ignite fear. And the most brilliant part? They made sure that the solution to the crisis, green energy, sustainability, environmental protection, actually worked. It was the most effective manipulation in history. The world rallied. Fossil fuels were abandoned. Waste was reduced. Forests were regrown, and new technologies surged. It was a lie that led to real results. The fallout, when the truth emerged, it hit like a solar flare. Protests broke out, not against pollution or carbon emissions, but against the institutions that had tricked billions. You made us believe we were dying just to make us behave better. You ruled us with fear, not facts. How can we ever trust science again? Governments fell. Universities were burned. Scientists were exiled or executed. The world splintered into two factions. The Greys, who believed that the ends justified the means and that the lie had ultimately saved humanity. The Clears, who demanded absolute truth and swore never to be manipulated again. Ironically, both sides still lived in a cleaner, safer world. But the moral foundation had crumbled. The twist decades later, a young historian named Aira uncovered a final layer to the story, buried deep in the archives of the Horizon Group. The Earth was warming, at first, but in the 1990s, a natural climate cycle began cooling the planet, counteracting human-caused warming. The Horizon Group saw this and realized the real threat had passed. But they couldn't risk the world going back to its destructive habits, so they kept the narrative alive. They chose fear over fact, control over uncertainty, unity over honesty. And in doing so, they created a paradox, a lie that healed the world. The final questionnaire, standing on the stage of the new global assembly, asked the world, if a lie creates peace, prosperity, and survival, was it ever truly a lie? And the world fell silent.